Thank you so much for bringing that up. I think that's such a relevant question and situation for so many people these days. The situation is that people like extended family, nuclear families, we move away from each other, and we have things that we're carrying, that are uncomfortable. And like Suzanne was saying, people with their speech, they communicate their pain. And if you're carrying pain around a relationship with your family or extended family, that's going to come out in your speech if you start to bring up that topic, or if certain negative feelings start to get stimulated in you, then that pain is going to be in your speech. And so the trick is really to use your speech in order to communicate your pain in such a way so that it actually has some kind of an outcome that everybody wants, right? Not just an outcome of like things being disconnected or there being resentments and grudges being brought up, and nothing ever shifts. What we want to learn how to do is actually take those conflicts, those long-standing, difficult relationships that we have, and we want to know how to transform them into completely healed, fulfilling, satisfying, strong, loyal relationships. So we do that with communication skills. And so if I had, a family gathering, Thanksgiving, and I go home and I see maybe an estranged brother or something like that, I might have some negative feelings. And if I address it like in a skillful way, I'm just going to create more of a wedge. If I knew how to communicate in a better way, I would heal that wedge through my communication skills. So it's kind of a, information that maybe communication skills might be something that you want to develop in yourself. So if I were to go home and I would have a communication, with my estranged brother, I might say, I feel estranged. I would use my words in your life. I feel curious, and I feel upset that I don't know more about what's going on with you and your family, and I wish that we were closer. And I'd like to go through a process where we can talk about anything that's in the way, and we can resolve it so that we have really strong rapport, so that we build trustability and kindness and, friendship, or family feelings towards one another. That's just the beginning of a conversation. There's a lot to go into in terms of completing a conversation like that, but that's how to open it up anyway. And if
Whoops, you dropped off. You're on a cell phone. I can see your number, so it's just Hawaii. I have that with Tommy and
I'm so sorry.
Janet. It's okay. It's just the Hawaii thing. Go ahead, Suzanne, and you need to let Rich ask a question, and then we'll go back to Tommy.
No, let Rich.
Go ahead.
Let Rich go. Let Rich go
first.
Let
Rich
him go first.
Go.
Okay,
Rich, so it's your turn. And then me and Suzanne will go after you. It'll be you, and then Suzanne, and then back to Tommy and me, because we've got 40 minutes left until James just doesn't want to answer questions anymore, I guess. Hope James can last, folks. Some people can't do 2 hours. Rich, what's beaming up and bubbling up for you? I mean, Rich.
So what's bubbling up for me as I go through the day and listening to the conversation is part of communication with people on the street now. When you're walking around, like when I go out and walk my dog down at the harbor, you see people and they look really angry, or they just look really deep in thought, and they really look unhappy. But if you communicate to them and all you got to say, hey, hello, give them a nod, and it's like a different person. You see someone walking towards you, and you go, man, this person doesn't look like they're friendly or anything. But once you say hi to them, or hello, or, they become a different person. I'm finding that fascinating right now.
It sounds like you really noticed in them a desire to connect or to be recognized or appreciated or something like that. And when you deliver that to them, then they just naturally light up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to remember you're You're 6'4", okay? If I see you coming towards me and I'm 5'11", I may look down too because you're a big guy. But I do know. I thought you were going to go with everybody seems angry because of the politics, which I don't like to do politics. But I do think that the overall, which we haven't got into, but Suzanne may want to get in that with you. It seems to be the overall, because we all listen to the news, that does affect. We'll just say John Q. Public for the sake of communication with James today, that a lot of people look angry, like you said, Rich. So, okay, I'll back out again, and then Suzanne can take over with Rich. Okay. Go ahead.
I think there's definitely a heavy vibe. Call it whatever you want, and there's just a heavy vibe in everybody's life. And if you talk to anybody, everybody's got a story, and everybody's got a unique story about how this whole situation's affected them. And so, yeah. I was going to ask James, how did he get into this field, and what fascinated him about communication?
Oh, yeah.
What got you into it? What sort of?
Yeah, I was married, and we have a child. We're divorced now, and I just noticed we did some communication training when we were getting divorced, and maybe some when we were having a hard time before we got divorced, obviously. But there was a high cost for everyone involved because we didn't know how to communicate and resolve our conflicts constructively. And so we were in our 30s, but in terms of communication skills, I would say we were really children. We were really not skilled at all. And the costs for our son especially are so high, it occurs to me as really tragic, actually. And so I think a lot of people have a similar story, but that was what got me into communication skills in a really deep way.
How old's your son now?
He's 17, almost.
How's that going for you, talking to a teenager now in that age? Range? Communicating with a teenager.
Easy. Yeah, he's really easy, and I think, honestly, a lot of it has to do with communication skills. Both my ex and I, we never shamed him or, intimidated him or threatened him and things like that. So he feels like he's really loved and accepted for who he is, which he is accepted and loved for who he is. And so he's had an opportunity to make mistakes and to be a human being with flaws and still okay with us. So I think that kind of work is actually really important. Because I would say what Suzanne was saying about the young, she sounded young to me as well, the woman from Connecticut. I think there is something to going through life's journey and finding your voice and finding out who you are as a person and being able to really use your authentic voice finally after you can access it. And I also think that communication skills that people just learn from a young age, just growing up in an environment with responsible and effective clean communication has a big impact too, actually, big impact.
What sort of age group do you deal with, or is there like a demographic you deal with?
Yeah, mostly I would say people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, people who are in relationship with other people, whether they be coworkers or intimate partnerships, and who want to transform their lives, really.
Do you have any opinion about kids nowadays? It's my perception that kids nowadays, they seem to lack in communicating with other people, maybe their own people, or maybe we're just getting old. I'm 60, but maybe you see kids and you just say hi to them and they kind of give you like a weird look, or you shake their hand and they got that limp fish thing. And I don't know if I'm talking to you about it, if you have any insight in that, but it seems like kids nowadays, they don't communicate as well, unless that's just me.
I think that you're right about that. I think it's something that has been going on for as long as I've been alive, where the older generation thinks the younger generation is, it's kind of dropping the ball, so to speak. But I think right now we're in a crisis of communication, especially among young people who spend a lot of time on screens and much, much less time interacting face-to-face with their peers.
Gotcha.
So, James, can I ask you a question? I'm just going to ask you a direct question. And so I've been listening to how you talk with people and how you answer questions. And my observation, and I want you to know, I'm not an educated, qualified individual, and I have no formal training in this area. It's just my own observation. But my observation in your style of communication is that you need time to process the dialogue. You hear the dialogue with a great deal of accuracy, the subtleties, the spoken and the unspoken elements, but then you need a piece of space to actually take the information in and then synthesize it and then report outward. It's interesting in observing your communication style for me as an observer.
Oh, interesting. Thanks for sharing that. I think you might be right. I have a tendency to repeat back or mirror back something that was significant, that I thought was significant in what the person shared. And I guess I want to check in with them and make sure that I got what they meant to share and what their situation is accurately before I share. But I'm kind of a slow-paced person. So, yeah, I think you're probably right about that, characterologically as well.
Interesting, because I like it. I like it a lot. And in your relationships, your intimate relationships, if the individual that you're involved with simply understands that you need a little bit of space to come back with your reply, your relationships should be absolutely phenomenal. My two favorite tools in a relationship are time and space. I believe giving people enough time and enough space to understand their own inner dialogue, their own inner process, often creates better results than any sort of a dialogue. So I am one of the people that really practices in my relationships time and space. Time and space are my favorite tools for helping people to sort of observe. And you have that naturally. I think you were born that way. And the people that you would do best with were people that understood that that's just your natural, that's just your natural gift.
Thanks. Yeah, I really like what you said. There's a lot of wisdom there to be able to give people the space and time they need in order to bring their best. And so when they show up and they're interacting with you, they're really well rested, they're centered and well, and they know what's going on for them, so they can be available for you.
That's really interesting, Suzanne.
You like that, TJ?
I do. People are drawn to voices, and that's how I wound up with James. I heard him talking about, I think it was assertive something on Janet's show, but I liked his voice. I wasn't really listening so much because of the art, the war and the politic part of it. I don't like to listen to anyway, but I did like his voice. And then I just saw Peacefully. I didn't know he had anything else going on, but I loved the thing peaceful.ly, and I loved his voice. And I thought, wow, any man that can manifest that needs to come on our show and help us, over here with my community. So I really appreciate you, James, and you did an excellent job. Plus, we had extra callers in here. I was rather shocked. I know we have a good listening audience, and we built it up for 8 years, and there's so many genuine, loving people out there listening to us. They really rely on our spirituality, and I need to be back here every Sunday. And me and Tommy get busy or can't get connected, and even your voice dropped a couple of times, faded out. But it has to do, I think, it really do with it. You're in Maui, whether it's satellites or under the ocean. I don't know which way, but sometimes it'll bend. But I'm on a landline right now, so hopefully I won't bend. But I've had real good reception for Rich and Suzanne, and Tommy's done pretty good tonight. We've got 30 minutes left. Can we do another quick round table for everybody, James, or do you want to go to some other part of the show? Because this is your tape tonight as well. Folks, we do tape, as you know, and you can go back and listen. And then after this gets through tonight, James will have a copy of his podcast, so he can grab it and put it on his various websites, because it's a good lesson tonight, James. So 30 minutes left, however you want to fill it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I would love to open it up to questions again, but I would like to just say that the website that you are saying is for the other topic that I was speaking about the other day. But what we're talking about today is mindful speech, and so I have a website for this specific topic. It's called mindfulspeech.training. Mindfulspeech.training.
Oh, okay. Mindful
so
speech.
Everyone connect with me there.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, I like that peacefully, but mindful speech training, is it .com, .net, .org, or what is that?
Actually, it's .training. So it's a